Right, first off, this is a live recording, so sorry if it's a bit weird. It's just easier to show this live rather than spend a month trying to edit video. In a previous video, I said that the breeding is pretty terrible. And I'm going to show you why. And this is one that I've done quite a bit of experimenting with, and it ends up just kind of being annoying and obnoxious. So, the first thing is, basically, once you get to the end game, which is where this is going to be specific, quite specific, realistically, breeding throughout early game, honestly, I'm mostly just viewing as a waste of time. And the reason for this, quite simply, is once you get to the end game, where you've spent all this time breeding and farming and doing all this extra stuff, it all counts to nothing. So what I'm going to show you is essentially end game breeding. What I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to put all of these pals away, minus this Palladius, which I actually want to keep on me. And then we're going to move through a lot of my pals. And hopefully we can find that Palladius. And then I've got this Palladius. Alright. So this is going to be specific to quite a lot of the endgame monsters. And by this I mean the ones with these weird icons above them. Which basically means these are alphas, as well as these which are luckies or shinies. Now, annoyingly, I did actually get a few shadow beaks to show this on a lucky side, but I've obviously then gone and butchered half of my collection, minus my Wixens, which I feel kind of happy about. However, what I'm going to show you is something that I feel is quite detrimental to the breeding as well as the endgame. And this is also why I'm saying this is specific to the end game. If we have a look at this Palladius, I've 2-starred him, which is going to be pretty important. Now, I wanted this guy to be a tank, which is why he is set up in this way. He has Dragon Killer, which decreases incoming dragon damage. I would have preferred if this was for fire, ideally. However, due to the fact that this guy is an alpha, again, noted by this, he will always come with Legendary and Celestial Emperor. This is part of his stats of when you farm him at the location shown here. This is where Palladius is. You can see it says defeated. This is also where you farm Necromus. Now, this is a normal. It's got muscle head, which I'm really happy about. Ideally, what I would have liked is burly body and muscle head. Now, this is something you can breed, and it is something that I have bred. However, just going to come back to this one. Legend, Celestial Emperor, muscle head. Obviously, I bred this one with muscle head, with this one, burly body, to get this guy. Legend, muscle head, burly body, Celestial Emperor. Sounds amazing, right? But you might notice that there's something missing. That little icon up here. Which is actually kind of huge. Realistically, it's kind of huge. This icon for Alpha, which this guy has, and this guy has, is worth more than these. And when you breed, they lose that. As you can see, this guy is level 50. He's 0-starred. He has an attack of 982 due to Legend, Muscle Head, and Celestial Emperor. 982. That's his attack. If we come to this one, Legend, Celestial Emperor, Muscle Head, Alpha. 1002. Now, it's kind of hard to compare this in a defensive stat, because obviously the guy with Alpha has 822, but he's lacking burly body. And then if we come down to this guy with all of it, he has 959. So 959 versus 822. There's a clear difference here in overall stats. But again, I kind of can't really show it because at this point I do have this one at 2-starred, but this one's at 1,395. If I didn't have this guy 2-starred with burly body, you can bet that the defense of this guy at 0-star with Alpha would be this guy without Alpha. What I'm saying here is essentially at the end game, the most powerful monsters are going to be the ones with either lucky, because these are still technically classed as alphas. We can actually show this if we actually alpha pow. Look, lucky, there's the alpha icon, lucky, alpha icon, lucky, alpha icon. Yeah, we can very clearly see that the game actually counts luckies as alphas. So essentially, breeding kind of becomes very quickly redundant, because what you're actually going to be wanting to do is farming either alphas or luckies, because they are just a lot more powerful. Now again, I can't actually show this because I deleted it like an absolute dum-dum. However, you can tell I've done quite a lot of farming trying to get some of these up. But I did get 2 lucky shadow beaks, 1 male, 1 female, and I bred them. And when you breed them, they do get the lucky stat. They will get lucky for the work speed of 15% and attack of 15%. But they lose this icon here. And losing this icon here, again, makes their overall stats drop. Breeding is not good endgame. It's actually bad. The best thing you can really do endgame is just spam farm and hope for the best. Another one I also wish to show, which was the main reason. Again, if we look at this guy, no stars, level 50, alpha, he has 8,303 health. This guy, level 50, no alpha, 4,526 health. They become considerably weaker, essentially. If you're breeding luckies and breeding alphas, they become considerably weaker. The only real time where breeding actually seems to have any benefit is if I just want to breed 2 very normal, boring hedgehogs or whatever, or anything that doesn't come in, preferably in alpha form. But you've got a lot of monsters that are in alpha form. You can get an alpha firefox. And this one got workaholic. This is going to be, I could get a normal firefox here with ferocious for plus 20 attack, muscle head for plus 30 attack, burly body for plus 30 defense, I think it is. And this will still be weaker than the alpha variant with workaholic at the same level. It's kind of disappointing. Now, I do wish to say that this potentially is a bug. I kind of can't see a reason as to why breeding 2 alphas won't actually give us 2 alphas. However, at the same time, it is also quite strange that it doesn't. And there is like an actual definite, as shown, stat decrease. So for the moment, although it might be a bug or at the very least an oversight in the code of the game, it is definitely something that for the moment does hinder the potential of breeding. I would absolutely love for that Palladius that I spent ages breeding with both muscle head and burly body to be of use. It's potentially, in terms of its passive skills, the best POW I have in the game. One, it's neutral, which is not particularly strong against anything in particular, but it's neutral essentially, and anything it's really weak to is going to be dark types. And okay, admittedly, in the late game, dark types are very, very numerous, but at the same time, it's also not exactly particularly difficult to actually counter. So, is this overall going to have like a huge impact on the actual breeding within the game? Well, the answer is actually quite simply yes, just simply because, like I said, once you get to the end game, breeding a lot of the end game monsters, the luckies and the alphas, actually is, despite the fact that you may get better stats, such as the Palladius has both burly body as well as muscle head, this looks really good. But due to the fact that it's lost the icon for alpha or indeed lucky, it still gets its legendary stats and the Celestial Emperor stats, but overall it is just weaker. Just 100% overall, it is just weaker. So this kind of means that late game, breeding means nothing. It's actually one of the worst things you could potentially do with your pals. which is actually something that I'm in favour of, just increases the grind of me now potentially having to farm Palladius even more into the ground so that I can hopefully get an actual natural drop of an alpha Palladius with burly body as well as muscle head. Now this is actually going to increase my grind massively because I'm now playing a massive, huge, horrendous RNG game, which for me personally is something I don't actually mind. I will sit here all year. I will spend the entirety of my early access trying to get that because that is something that I would like to do because it's what I want to do. However, when it comes to grinding at this capacity, I am fully aware that I am also a complete and utter enigma as someone that will happily waste hours and hours of their life trying to get that one damn god roll. That's something that I do. I'm pretty sure 99.999999% of others are not going to be seeing it this way and will absolutely not want to do this and would prefer to do the whole breeding mechanic. This does decrease the grind. I get that. But at the same time, what you're actually breeding is a significantly weaker POW. There is a slight alteration to this, and I kind of wish I kept it, which would be with the luckies. You can breed POWs that have the lucky stat, and they will keep their lucky stat. This is kind of use. However, they lose the icon, which again, that icon is worth much more than their actual passive skills, as well as the fact that the icon itself also gives a huge health bonus. Approximately, from what I have seen and tested, approximately a 60% health bonus. And this is something that is going to absolutely have a direct and negative effect of your endgame performance in terms of overall grinding. So, yeah, breeding endgame kind of is useless. And once you get to the endgame of where you are farming a lot of these POWs to either be lucky or at the very least alpha, it negates the breeding altogether. Why would I spend my time? I don't actually know if there is an alpha version of this, but why would I spend my time playing the lottery game with breeding? Well, I say lottery, it's not. Why would I spend my time playing the lottery game, breeding a Maraith, when I can just get an alpha that is going to be stronger regardless of what passives and rolls it comes with? Breeding's not worth it. I'm sorry. Have fun, good luck, don't die. It's bad for the health.